Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February Shade Tree meeting. If you could join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, First thing up, it's not on the agenda, but want to congratulate Seth Reeser, who is not here tonight, but just welcomed his daughter. I think everybody knows by now here, but congratulations, Seth, if you're watching.
And he is.
He is. There you go. And then we'll take a look at the meeting minutes. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? I see none. I'll make a motion to pass. Do I have a second? All in favor? All right, unanimous. Item number 3A, no, that's 4. Consent agenda. Kristen, you looked through these and everything looked good?
Yes, we did. We went through them all. We looked at the visual images of the lots, and everything seemed to be in order. So those three were recommended.
Okay, anybody have any questions? No? All right, then I'll make a motion to pass, approve.
Second.
All in favor? There we go, we're good. Up next is the new grading permits. We have 16 Longwood Drive. Mr. Calvarese, if you could just step up to the mic. Mr. Calvarese dropped off a sheet that you have in front of you. I passed them out. So it looks like Mr. Calvarese was building the house. He was leaving a wall, but the wall was not working, so he had to do a whole new permit for this. Construction has started, but there is no trees, I believe. He just had to come shade tree because of this. So, Mr. Calvarese, can you just say there's no trees on the property?
None, not a one, not a
And
bush.
there's you have a fence around the property?
The fence around the property,
So
yes.
any other trees on neighboring properties are protected by that fence?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? No, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, Frank, good. All right, thank you, Mr. Calvarese.
Okay,
You're good to go.
All right, thank you much.
All right, next up in grading permit, we have 861 South Bryn Mawr Avenue. Hi, good evening. You were here last month, and you were going to update the tree table and I think everything like that.
I think Leah sent the drawings.
Yes. So if you could just show us the tree protection.
And I'm sorry, I didn't do the drawings.
Oh, that's okay. So there's, Ian, could you zoom in on this a little bit more? So I did look through this prior. There is tree protection around the trees. You did place the schedule, the amount of trees coming out, which was 16 trees, was it?
I think 18 trees? 18.
And then they were all under 19 inches. So you're replacing with how many trees?
18.
18 coming out and 18 going in. Okay. The one thing I did notice is there's no, you didn't specify what species.
So we did add that. That's what the new table at the top. Yeah.
Okay, so it is on there?
Yeah.
So you're planting, can you tell us the trees that you're planting?
I'm really bad at this reading, but it's okay.
Can you use your mic, please?
Excuse me.
Oh, just out of
Can you use your mic when, the microphone in front of the podium?
Yeah.
Arborvitae trees?
Yes.
And then it says there's the 2 other trees on the side there. Do you, are they all arborvitae too?
No, they're maple, right, those are the larger trees, canopy trees.
Yeah.
Yes.
So oak and white oak? Okay, gotcha. Okay, anybody else have any questions, concerns? No? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? All right, you're good. Thank you very much. Everything's good. Thank you. Okay, up next, we have 150, 168 Lancaster Avenue. Mr. Spellman, good evening. If you could just tell us a little bit about this. I think you were here before, were you?
Yes, so this is the property at the south side of Lancaster. It's been removed, the building's been demoed. This is the grading permit. You saw the preliminary plan and the final plan, and this has not changed since either of those.
All the same.
All the same.
You're taking out, how many trees was there?
There was
Do you know?
really no trees on the property. I mean, it was pretty much all building.
Okay. But you're putting in,
There was one small one. There was like a 2-inch tree right here that is coming out, but there were no other
no
trees
other
on
trees
the
coming
property.
out?
Right.
Okay. And you are planting some trees along
Right.
the
So-
road?
Yeah, so they're putting the street trees in along
Their
Lancaster.
requirement for saldo, I guess?
Correct.
Gotcha. And I saw the guys working up there the other day hosing off the road, so
Yeah.
looks like you got a good start.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? All right,
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, we have 119 Aberdeen Avenue. Is anybody here for that? Hey, good evening. If you could introduce yourself and then just tell us about your project, please.
My name's Alyssa Mazziata. I don't have a big one. Hopefully this will, oh no. Can you? No. All right, I'm only removing one tree.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm only removing one tree, and I have a landscaper arborist who is going to replace the tree with a black gum tupelo tree.
Black gum tree?
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable about native trees, so.
Gotcha. Is there a size of that? Do you have a size of that tree that's coming out? Looks like a pretty,
It is a sizable tree. It would be greater than 30 inches.
it is greater.
At breast diameter, so
Okay. And it's not dead or anything?
it is not.
Okay. So the township ordinance says if you take down a heritage tree, the compensatory trees is 4 large canopy replaced and 2 any type of trees.
Yes.
So I think that would need to be addressed before anything. And then I see where your garage is going.
Yes.
There is, it looks like
Detached garage. Yep.
you're going right into the trees in the back there. Is that correct? You can see the drip line halfway through the garage.
Yeah,
Is that-
I
or
don't
is
know
that
if
tree
we're gonna hit
protection?
those trees, though.
Yeah, that
And they're not heritage trees.
that line is kind of shrubs. It's not really truly a tree line.
Okay, gotcha.
It's brush and other materials. There are some trees that are perhaps further back behind the structure.
Okay. And any work that's going on, is that coming in from the driveway?
Yes, it would be coming in from Aberdeen Terrace, which is here.
Mm-hmm. So you're not going on the lawn over any other trees or anything like that?
No, there's a driveway here to a house property behind it, but all of the egress to the property would be from Aberdeen Terrace.
Okay.
I have a question. Actually, stay there if you don't mind.
Can I, hold on,
What?
if they could stay there, because we're not able to capture them talking when
Oh,
they're away
okay.
from the mic. There's a
Okay.
pointer at the stand that you can use to point
Okay.
right from the table.
Okay.
Thanks, Ricky.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
When I had reviewed these initially, one thing I noted was that it looked like instead of marking each of the trees that's over 6-inch DBH by, size, species, and things like that, it
Yep.
just says trees in some areas, and I just wanted to know if you could clarify what those are. You said maybe they're shrubs, but I think I just noticed it wasn't very specific.
So can you put that back down? So there is, you can see where the heritage tree in question is. Behind that, there is a line of trees, but they're back behind where the detached garage is going to go.
Okay.
And they're on our property line, but then they're also bleeding into the property behind it. So if you can think of it, the driveway runs kind of up by the house. The garage is going to go in. It would impede on where that existing heritage tree is going to go. The other line, and I am not an expert in this, there's kind of shrubs and some trees in that back area, and then shrubs and some trees buttressing the driveway on the property that would be kind of coming in below ours off of Aberdeen Terrace.
Okay, so to confirm, all of the trees over 6-inch DBH that are on your property are marked on this plan?
No, there's only one tree that's bigger than that, and it's the one that is the circle one.
So real quick, James, and looking at some imagery here, it appears that there's about 15 trees in the rear that are not being denoted on this plan.
So there are some pine trees in the back that aren't called out individually on the plan. My understanding, based on talking to the builder, is that they're either behind the building and will not come down, or they're on their property behind us, so they would be off to the left-hand side of this drawing.
So the way our ordinance is written is those trees 6 inches or greater have to be denoted on the plan. And if they're to remain in the landscape, you have to show tree protection.
Can you elaborate on tree protection?
So that is the tree protection fence that protects those trees from any
machines? from
insert of
construction?
machines, material storage, and so forth.
Okay.
Would you guys be all right coming back next month? Are you?
I mean, I guess we have to, because the pine trees are definitely not called out explicitly on the plans.
Yeah, and so what I would suggest, I'm going to make a motion in a minute, but put the trees on the plan for next time. Show the tree protection that's going up, which is, you had a design.
I saw it on
yeah.
a previous
So
diagram.
the
Yep.
engineer will know, or you could probably even, I don't know if you're allowed to, but hopefully mark it in. And then also have your arborist come out and get the DBH of the heritage tree that's coming out.
The
Put-
DBH?
I have that. That's the breast height, correct?
Yeah,
Yep,
diameter
yep.
of breast height.
Yep,
If it's a heritage tree, which is 30 inches or larger.
it is.
Then you need
Yep.
the compensatory trees, which would be 4 large canopy and then 2 of anything else.
And they need to be on the plan?
You need to show where they'll go on the plan. Or there is, the ordinance calls, there is a fee in lieu of as well, which you can pay
It's $1,800? Is that-
$300 per tree.
So
That
is it-
goes into the tree planting fund, and we'll plant trees around the township. But you should have a planting schedule, the removal of what you're taking down, and then what you're replacing it with on the plan. And then mark those trees that aren't there, and show the tree protection as well.
Okay,
I don't think, it's not gonna get approved tonight. So what I'll do is make a motion to table it till next month, come back with all that, and then it should.
Okay, would that have an impact on the other permits that we're trying to get in this whole project?
You would have to ask Leah, Ricky, or John. Ricky probably doesn't know, he's not. I'm joking, Ricky.
The first thing you have to do is go through shade tree. Like, that's one of the first things you have to do. So yes,
So this is going to.
if it's
this
your
is-
building permit, yeah, this would
So this
absolutely
is going to
affect
push it back a month?
Yes, it will.
and when is your March meeting? Do you know?
It's usually the
I
last.
think it's March 26th,
The last Wednesday in March?
Yeah.
24th, something like that.
Okay.
All right, so, does anybody else have any questions or anything? I'm gonna make a motion to table it. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, sorry, guys, but.
Yep, thank you.
Just needs that info.
Before you go, we have a little checklist that, you know, it just might make it easier for you to get the information that we need here, instead of reading.
My contractor or the person I hired for the law knew any of this.
No, you can take that.
And it's on the grading
Yeah.
permit too, most of the information,
Yeah,
of the actual application.
yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, good luck.
All right, next up is Oak Terrace. Good evening, Mr. Paolini.
Evening. I noticed Trish must have put on the thing, trees not denoted to come down, but they are on page 4. I think maybe she just didn't see the chart back there. Yeah, okay. I just, on the minutes, it said there were no. So, anyway, we're going to be tearing down and rebuilding a house on 353 Oak Terrace. We are taking down 8 trees. The math works out for 14 replacement trees. Page 4 has some trees denoted. And speaking with people in the neighborhood, if you look at the site, you can see there are a lot of trees on the site and a lot of trees to remain. And the thought was it may be better to plant evergreens and offer shade to the downhill neighbor, shading, as opposed to just adding more canopy trees on this site. If, like I said, if you look at the existing trees on page 4 there, there's really a fair amount of trees already on the site, and these young ones are just going to be fighting for airspace, or sunlight anyway. So that was just something I wanted to put forth.
Okay, so
And,
it is showing that you should be planting
14.
3 times 3 is 9, and then 6 large canopy.
And I was, subsequent to this, I was suggesting maybe we just do all evergreens and, offer some protection to the neighbor.
Oh, this is yours?
Yeah,
Okay, and so what do you,
So, I just asked that, or we discussed briefly that a couple of them,
could you speak around?
a couple of those trees that he's replacing, maybe be a pine or something that gives us some privacy between the two properties.
Years ago, there used to be a lot of bamboo there that has since been taken down, and that provided like a bamboo privacy hedge, which for better or for worse, it was probably one of the few places in the township where bamboo was welcome. So, I mean, we're okay. Look, we're okay planting what the trees called out per ordinance, but we think in this case, because there's so many trees on this site, it would be better served to plant the evergreens in lieu of the
Gotcha.
large canopy trees, but,
Just a couple in sort of, you can't see, sort of right here where our house is, and we've now, it's been denuded by the previous owner, so we just wanted some
Okay.
pines there. If we can do this, would you?
Well, how many trees were you thinking, like,
honestly, I think you should plant the whole 14. As the builder, it's not a big difference to me to plant one of the canopy
Yeah.
trees or an evergreen.
the evergreens are gonna be more expensive, so.
Yeah, realistically, I know that, and you know that.
Yeah.
But it's still not enough money to care about
Right.
on the scheme of the project.
Is it all
it just would-
forested?
Yeah, it leads down to the trail, if
Yeah.
it were for our property there. So it's that whole area that it looks like it's the trail. It's mostly tall canopy trees now. And
I mean,
again,
if you look right now, there's,
Do you have
probably
any
no
room for
need-
some more,
what's that?
do you have any room for some large canopy trees?
oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
definitely.
you do, but, so the site's very rocky. And, I mean, yes, you do, but I just feel like there's not there's a good amount of large canopy trees here. All of
Right,
these
right.
are pretty much large canopy. The little ones will be fighting for
No, I
for
understand.
sunlight.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we'd be serving the site better to provide some screening for the neighbor, but,
Gotcha, understood.
I'm deferring it to the
I'm gonna
board.
open it up to, and this is new construction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're coming in off the old driveway, or are you moving the driveway?
We're actually flipping the driveway a little uphill.
Disturbing any other trees in the way, or?
No,
No, okay.
just what,
Would
And
you
you're
be
taking-
amenable to a fee in lieu?
Well, it's not about the money. It's about trying to do
The neighborly thing.
try to do the neighborly thing, in other words.
Are you saying, though, that for all the deciduous trees and, or make, not, put up no canopy trees and make them all pine trees?
Right, I was
'Cause
try-
all we had sort of hoped for was, at a minimum, just, where,
Well, I mean,
where our houses
14
touch.
Yeah, but along that line there, 14 evergreens, might buffer 100 feet. I mean, it's not going to buffer.
How long is the space that you were?
Oh, gosh, it's probably, well, I don't know where exactly the house is, but I mean, this whole line here is 400 or 237 feet from here. I mean, 14 trees might just, buffer that section, but it would be doing a benefit to the neighbor.
Probably 20 feet along here, that's all we care about.
Can we just confirm a point of order here for one
Sure.
second?
I know what you're going to ask. Yeah, no, we've already discussed this. Should I recuse myself? No, because we're not questioning it, we're just saying, some of those trees, could they be a few pine trees to give us some?
Well, you had 14.
Okay. Okay.
I think she can come down and do public comment.
Why wouldn't she be able to vote on this?
Because it's a conflict of, like, if you
I
change
think everybody here is my neighbor, so
yeah, but if you,
we're in the township.
if you change like, if you make him plant the 6 shade trees,
Well,
then
the-
yes, but if you don't, I don't know that she can. But
Yeah, and nobody has suggested any
Right, so-
otherwise. I mean,
We had just,
Mr. Paolini has 14 shade trees up here, and so
Right.
we have to, I'm going to open it up to everybody. I was just getting through the basics here first. So now I'm going to open up to anybody else that has any comments.
Maybe, perhaps it's even best if we go like this. I'll request of you to allow me to plant the evergreens in lieu of the
When you talk
deciduous.
evergreens, what kind of evergreens? Are they arborvitae, are they white
Pick the
pine?
ones you think are best. I really, we could plant arborvitaes or, some spruce, whatever you think would provide the best shading.
So I would suggest you're required by ordinance to plant 6 canopy trees.
Right.
I would say stick to the ordinance
Okay.
with 6, plant 8 evergreen trees of whatever you want.
Okay, and
We're
that's
sticking to
fine.
the ordinance. I think Eugenia and the neighbors will be happy with that.
And that's
If
fine
it's
with
20
me.
feet, the trees have to be 8 to 10 feet anyway, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to cover the area. So
Yeah.
I would personally say, I know it's a wooded area, but I would say stick with it.
Then we'll stick with it. It's already
I-
there.
But I want to see what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Those 6 canopy trees have to stay 6 canopy trees, but the 8 do whatever.
Okay, all in, we're good.
All right, so I'll make a motion to, so yeah, I'll make a motion that approval as long, contingent upon changing it to 8 evergreen trees or whatever you want to put in.
Fine.
I'll ask for a second.
Can you reframe that
So-
motion,
so-
James?
That was a little mushy there, huh? Okay, so a motion to approve with the contingent upon, well, it's not even contingent upon, because you're following the
We're
ordinance.
just following the
With
ordinance,
an
yeah.
ask to maybe plant 8 evergreen trees to shade neighboring properties.
Sounds
Do
good.
I have a second? We have a second. All in favor? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Anybody else?
The one thing I want to ask, I'm sorry to clarify, is of the 14, how many are we saying need to be large canopy?
6.
6.
Okay,
He has
Yep.
14 large canopy right now,
I understand, okay.
so he's asking to
6
change it.
large, but. 6 are required. Yeah, okay, thank you.
So just to rephrase the motion, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow this evening. So out of the 14, 6 large canopy and 8 evergreen of,
It's not contingent upon that at all. He can plant his list that he has up, but I'm asking that he plant some evergreen trees, and I'm asking if the commission here is okay with that. Still working with the ordinance, we just have to change it on the plan.
As long as 6 are large canopy.
6 large canopy and then 8 of whatever. He has 8 listed on here as, except for the Cirrus, all would be considered large canopy according to the township website.
I'd feel more comfortable if we just made the motion that he plant 14 trees, 6 of which will be large canopy, and let the homeowner do whatever they
You
want.
sound better than I do. Sounds.
Yeah.
I will second
I
that.
think you said the same thing.
I will second it. All in favor?
Or eloquent.
Unanimous, except, and Eugenia is staying out of this. All right, thank you very much. Approved.
Good luck.
Thank you. Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
Terrace. Next one. Next we have Villanova University. Welcome. If you could introduce yourself and just tell us about your project.
So I'm Karen McManuels. I'm a project manager for Villanova University. Thank you. We're looking to build a handicap ramp in front of Gary Hall. We're not removing any trees. There is a large tree within the area that we plan on protecting during construction. So just to kind of get you familiar with the site, this is in a large plan. So county line is going to be up to the right here, and then 320 is going to be in front of the project here. And there's parking between 320 and the building. This is the main entrance coming up, going into Gary Hall. So Gary Hall is the building going like that. So what we're doing is we're coming out the main entrance, we're doing a sidewalk here, and then we're doing an ADA ramp up into the building. This right here is a large existing tree. So in this area of the sidewalk that's a little bit in the drip line, there's a note on the plans to be careful digging and keeping the stone thinner than there to protect the roots of the tree. And then in the front here, we're proposing to do a rain garden to capture the stormwater runoff.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. The tree, does that have the size on there?
Tree protection fence, yeah.
The DBH of the tree?
Yes, existing 15-inch caliber tree.
Okay. And there's no ramp there now, I guess, right?
There's no ramp there
Just
now.
steps there?
Right. There's just the sidewalk, and as soon as you go in, you have to go upstairs. So
Gotcha.
this level and this portion of the building doesn't currently have any ADA access, so that's why we're proposing a new one.
Got it. I don't know can you put is there tree protection in there?
There is tree protection. It was shown on the first drawing. So the line that going around here is the tree protection line,
Okay.
and then it should be the standard detail for the township.
Got it.
We didn't do the details, did we?
And do you know what type of tree, what species? Do you know? Anybody?
I do not know what it was,
Not listed.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's called out, the type. I think just the diameter was called out.
And not that it has anything to do with this meeting, but the stormwater, did you have to do stormwater for this? And is it the rain garden that's going in?
It is the rain
And
garden,
instead
because
of
we're
doing
over, yeah, we're over 500 and we're less than 1,000.
That's good. I like
So
seeing-
that's why
that's
we're
awesome.
doing the infiltration. We did that testing. And we're doing that.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? No?
I have all the trees on the other map.
Oh, yeah, all the trees.
Yeah, I just have to look. If you really want to know.
I think it would save them time, because I should be on the plan.
It should be on the plan. I apologize.
That's all right. Well, I will make a motion to approve contingent on getting the species. The DBH is on there, that's good.
Right,
But just update the plans that show the species of tree with the township.
Okay.
Do I have a second? Second, all in favor?
I just need to note I'm not allowed to vote because you're
Gotcha.
my employer, so
Oh,
it's conflict of
okay.
interest.
All right, so we
to know.
have 5, so it's all good, approved.
right.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Black gum? Okay. Might be a black gum, but I'm sure you'll have somebody
We'll
there too.
verify that, yeah.
Jen can walk over there tomorrow and check it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful tree, I know that. Thank you.
Thank
You're welcome. Okay, next 5G. Anybody here for Walnut Lane? Mr. Spellman again?
It's me. All right, so this is the Fox Lane subdivision on the old Eastern parking lot. So there's 18 lots. I think we've been here for 11 of them now.
Okay, yeah. Has anything changed? All the trees were taken down prior,
Yeah.
right?
Right, so all the trees are done.
And this is
There
just
we go,
a
that's what I wanna show
formality
you.
to go through all the grading
Right,
permits
just-
for single
this is
homes?
right, this is to confirm that we are building a house per the subdivision plan, the stormwater is per the subdivision plan, and the landscape is per the subdivision plan, so there are no changes.
So everything we approved already was up to par, and you're just going through it again?
Correct.
Gotcha. Anybody have any questions? Did you see anything, Kristen, that?
Was this submitted, was this a resubmission, right, from
This-
2022?
this is-
Yeah,
Yeah, so this
2022
is
I
a
had.
grading permit for the individual lot. So the landscape was based on the overall grading permit of the property, of the original tract. And as each lot comes up to be built, we come back in with a individual grading permit verifying the subdivision still applies.
Is this the one Jonathan Alderson did?
There it is. So yes.
Yeah.
So the lot we're talking about is right here. This is the subdivision house, and it's the same as the house that's on the grading plan.
Anybody, questions, anything, comments? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second, we have all seconds. Everybody in favor? All good. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have, is it Aberdeen?
Aberdeen, 21 South
221
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen. You're here for that too?
Yeah, here for that also.
Okay.
So this is,
Yeah, just tell us.
go
about
ahead. Yeah, so it's a minor subdivision plan. This is Ivan and South Aberdeen, the property that's on the corner in that wedge. The original house, the existing house is going to stay, and they are subdividing off the corner for a proposed single-family home. This is the subdivision plan. What's over on this side of the property currently is a tennis court. We're looking to take out 6 trees, which is on the tree replacement on the next. Now, it's important to note that this is a subdivision plan, and this is showing project viability. When it comes time to build the house, it's going to be just like the Fox Lanes that we just went over. We'll be back here again with a grading permit to either verify what I showed you here today is still applicable, or with a revision if the house changes or there's more impervious or they put it in a different spot. I mean,
Gotcha.
so that's what we're doing here.
All right, and I did see there was tree protection up. I'm not sure what sheet it was in, but
Yeah, it's on this sheet number 4.
it's around the limited disturbance as well, or something like, yeah.
Yeah, so there's tree protection fence. This is the limit of disturbance, this dashed line. the green hatched out line, tree protection.
And so there's no entrance there off Aberdeen right now? You would be putting in a new entrance?
Correct. Right, so this would be a new driveway, new entrance.
And the shade, there's tree protection to the left as you enter there? Yeah.
Yeah, right here. So around this cluster and around that one.
Okay. And then you're taking down how many trees? Is that-
We are taking down 6.
And is that on the plan somewhere?
There you go. So here it is, 6. I'm sorry, that's an 8. Let me put on my reading glasses.
Yeah, I forgot mine.
Yeah. So, so 6 in the 6 to 18 range, and then 1 each of the next 2 ranges. It's less than 50% of the existing trees. So we're using the formula of 1 to 6 for the lower trees. I'm sorry, 1.
Yeah, 1 for
Yeah, 1. 3 for the middle-sized trees, which 2 of them have to be canopy, and then 4 for the heritage. 6 for the heritage tree, 4 which need to be canopy.
I just want to clarify really quickly. I can't see it, so maybe it's there and I'm just wrong. But if for the 19 to 29 inch, you were correct with the 3, but it's 2 of every 3. And then for the
I'm sorry,
30 inch or greater,
Yep.
the replacement, it's 4 for every 6. So it's not just like a total of 4. I can't see it, so I wasn't sure exactly if that's what you already have.
Right. I'm sorry, could you say it again? So I have here total of 6 trees, 4 which have to be large canopy.
If you only had 1 of the trees that's
Cor-
being removed. If
That
you
is
had
correct.
more, then it would have been 4 for every 6 that you have to replace.
Oh, yeah, understood,
That's all.
understood,
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
understood. So right next to it is the proposed tree schedule showing 6 large canopy trees, America Beech, a birch, linden, and then showing 15 of the smaller canopy trees. All these have come off the appendix list of approved trees. So 4 arborvitae, 2 holly, and 3 dogwoods.
All right. The other thing I noticed on this was the neighboring property. So I'm not sure what the distance is. I just took a quick look, but there's walnut trees, large walnut trees. Yeah, one there, and there's one the other side. And I think the Green Giants, Jen, do you know they don't grow so well around walnut trees, right?
Nothing's going to grow so well
Yeah.
around walnut trees.
Do you
except
know
for
how
the
far
walnut
away
trees.
they are from there? About? If they're more than like 50 feet, you're probably good, but I just can't tell from this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're probably okay if they're outside the canopy spread. I would think the roots probably don't go too much far outside the canopy. So the juglone.
Yeah, I just don't know if that canopy is
Yeah.
correct on that.
Yeah.
It's a 40-some inch, it's like 45-inch tree, I think it said, right?
Right.
It's a big tree,
Right,
both of them.
Right, so this is showing 44 inches diameter on a walnut tree, and from the arborvitae to there is about 50 feet.
Okay, so you're probably good, right?
Right there is about 50 feet.
I was just going to maybe suggest something different if it was closer.
Always open to
Because you don't want it to die.
Yeah.
And all the other trees, I think, are pretty good. Right, anybody else have any questions or comments? No? Nothing? All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I think that's it for business agenda. Yeah. So we're going to move into old business, and we are at the spring tree planting. Frank, do you want to give us an update on that,
Yeah,
please?
it's moving along. Seth got the advertisement out with Molly. We've got, I think, 101, was it?
103, I think he said, right? Or
103 people
101,
have
something like
requested,
that.
residents have requested trees, and we only have 50. So there may be an opportunity for somehow getting more trees for the residents, but that's very, very good and much better than last November.
Last fall.
We still have 23 trees earmarked for a park. And Ricky or John, have you selected a park?
So we did. So actually today, Mr. Ricky and Tammy, we met online and we're talking about doing what's called a Milwaukee forest, which is kind of like a pop-up forest. And we have two locations. One's Odoricio.
John, can I stop you for a second? What is it called? Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, but
Milwaukee.
it's Japanese.
Okay.
Forest, where you enclose the area in deer fence and you plant on 5 to 6 foot centers to really create a dense, healthy structure. So you have that layering. Obviously, you have to have the deer enclosing fence with it. So we looked at Odoricio and we also looked at the willows. And if Ian, if you can pull up a plan that Tammy sent you. I don't think this was it. There it is. Absolutely. So this is at the Willows, and this is south of the exit drive leading to Darby Paley Road. This area that's highlighted in the yellow is an open area that's been mowed continuously for inceptions. And we're looking to reduce, obviously, turf panels, reduce mowing, reduce our footprint by planting these areas and reforesting this area. If you go back into historical imagery, you'll see that this area at one time was totally wooded and naturalized. We're looking to recreate those benefits. So by way of acreage, this is approximately 4.5 acres. And planting about 180 trees per acre, which is, you know, a typical southeastern Pennsylvania forest that's heavily managed. We can fit about 880 trees on this property.
But we'll start with 23.
That is correct.
Okay,
And you're talking about the whole area you outlined?
That's correct.
that's
All
fabulous.
right.
And to boot, Tammy is reaching out to an Eagle Scout who has to fulfill many hours in order to get his Eagle Scout merit badge. He is going to most likely be engaged in putting up the deer protection fence. Yep.
Is that the same
Yeah,
Eagle
the
Scout
same
that
guy.
Frank talked to?
Napoli Siam.
I'm not sure. Tammy did not reference a name.
I talked to him on Zoom today. That's great, he's going to do the deer protection.
Yep.
But he's also willing to raise money, buy some whip trees, and get his guys to plant them
Excellent.
wherever we want. So,
Excellent.
And the only thing I want to add to John's point is this is right now just in the conception phase. So even if this diagram, if there may be areas that we decide, you know, we might not plan in, like if you look at the middle section that basically goes almost down to the road, we do understand there is sledding that goes on there for like some of the younger kids. So even if we took that straight section out and just did behind the duck chute as it used to be, and then did in front of the other trees and the pine trees and used that section, but left a straight rectangle for them to still sled. So we just had that area all in a hole, but this is still in the infancy phase.
Would you guys be open to just going all the way to the back and leaving that and then working on both sides first? And then see what the residents feel about, I remember sledding there and we used to go all the way up there. So
Yeah.
I don't know what kids do now, but
Yeah, it's
I mean,
still-
I would rather see it forested because I don't want to walk up there with my kids. But I can see some people will want to keep that.
Yeah.
So I think we should get residents' input first.
Yeah, this is
And-
still just at the township level. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll probably bring it out and let the commissioners know before we do anything.
Gotcha.
But we can do the back area where it's basically between the creek and, you know, the woods, there's really nothing that prevent it from planting in that area.
Could you give us a little bit of a sense of history, how this site was chosen, in particular for this project?
Yeah, I mean, Tammy had a whole aerial view. We've been getting a lot of questions, even from like the EAC, where they were talking about just restoring some areas to natural. And we proposed a couple areas. This was one where it was kind of open. They used to have a fire pit in the back that has since been removed. So it's an area that doesn't really get a lot of use. So this was one. We have an area at Hartford Park that was also one that was selected to kind of, you know, return to a forest. If you enter Hartford Park on the left-hand side, that open field is just open. You have a couple dog walkers, but most of the dogs are technically supposed to stay up top. So just looking for trying to just take the recommendations of the EAC and just what a lot of townships are doing, returning a lot of these bigger lawn areas to natural.
A little sidebar. Most of those trees on the northeast and along Abraham's Run were planted by the Bare Root Program, and they look like they're doing pretty well.
And I was going to propose, since we had so many other, we have money in the budget, and there was more residents that wanted trees, that we would do a second planting. Would you guys be up for that this spring? And not as massive as this one, but maybe 20 or 30 trees. And, I mean, if we don't get people to plant, then we'll figure it out, and
Yeah.
me and Frank will plant them.
Yeah, I think, I'll plant them, you dig the hole.
Sounds good.
Um,
Not a
Yeah, I
problem.
think that'd be a great idea, because we're
So-
only putting 23 in the parks this
So I don't know if we can
spring.
vote, but I guess next month in March, I'll bring back a proposal with
Yeah,
some trees, and then we can vote on it then?
yeah.
Sound good? All right. Anybody else, or any other news, Frank, on, so we have the place, we're going to the park, we have the date. Are we doing breakfast and lunch like we did? And is anybody taking care of that this?
Yeah, we're going to give that to
Kristen,
Seth.
again? What's that?
We're going to give that to Seth.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, done.
Kristen, you'll take care of that, did you say?
Yeah, yeah, we have a work plan
Oh, you
for
do?
all the little tasks.
Okay,
that have
so
to be
everything's done.
Yeah.
All right, anything else we need to discuss about that?
No,
No.
we're in good shape.
Any, I should have asked earlier, any public comment on the planting? No? All right. Sounds wonderful. Oh, good, thank you. All right, then we'll move on to new PHS watershed grant. That is Frank again.
Yeah, that was something we were working on. It's due on Friday. We basically have taken it off the table for right now, and the reason is the comprehensive plan is coming up, and I think we can apply for this grant in the future, and we might want to do it something consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, when, do you know when the comprehensive plan is?
It's
Finished
out
or-
now. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes under new business. But
So-
we're mentioned a lot in the comprehensive plan, and there's a lot of money out there that we can get to actually implement that plan.
So is there something we could do ahead of time to be ready for the next grant that comes up, or?
Oh, yes. We should be selecting sites.
Okay.
A lot of this particular PHS grant is a watershed grant, so we should be picking a stream that needs some remediation.
And you were going to talk to some people, but would we need the township to pick a site, I guess, as well?
No, this is more like looking at our streams. Like we had picked Sawmill Creek or Darby Creek and Sawmill Park for one possible place. The Willows, Abraham's Run, which we were just looking at, was another place that we actually have a grant written for.
Okay.
So we have all these things getting ready to do, but we just want to respect the comprehensive plan and do something consistent with that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we have one grant out there right now from PICO that we should be hearing about this spring
Oh, cool.
for about $10,000.
For planting? Trees?
trees, yeah.
Do they plant them, or do we just to purchase, or to?
They give
for
us the
whole
money
thing?
and we do it. We
We
spend
do
the
whatever
money,
way we want to
yeah.
do it.
I think it's a 25% match,
Okay.
and we can do that with volunteer labor and township
Perfect.
hours and
Yeah.
stuff.
All right, great. Anybody else? All right, next up, or anybody comment, public comment on that? Nobody? Okay. Number 7, comprehensive plan update, a vision for Radnor 2035. Ricky asked us to prioritize this.
Yeah, Ian's gonna step out for a sec and play at the screen so I could sit in my seat. Thank you, Ian. So this was put in front of the BOC, and right now it's still in the infancy phases. So what staff has been asked to do is go through and just double check and make sure the lead entities are correct. But the other parts, the township manager wanted us to also look and see if we had any questions or recommendations when it comes to things that pertain to certain departments and certain committees. So if you look at, Ian, if you could go down just a tad so I can get all 4 of those. Okay, thank you. So on page 1, under the B tab, it talks about investing in the maintenance and improvement of the township's 300-plus acres of passive open spaces. Those 3 highlighted areas, B1, B2, and B3, what my recommendation is that Shade Tree and the township arborists take the lead on those. I feel like with, the coupled experience of the arborist and also with the Shade Tree Commission, you would be able to provide, first off, we just want to try to get out of those 3, what should be 1, 2, and 3. What's the most important? Because that's what we have to provide for the BOC to be able to have a sense of direction moving forward. After we get that sense of direction moving forward, then we're going to come up with a strategic plan to how to get said topic number 1 accomplished, topic number 2 accomplished, topic number 3 accomplished. So that's what the conversation is tonight. I have to have this turned in by the end of the week, so I'm sorry to put you under the gun to ask for sorry to use that expression, but to try to have a decision tonight on what's most important. The township arborist has already looked at these documents, so he can maybe offer some insight on what he feels. And if you all agree after his comments, then we'll go on to page number 3, which will be the next topics.
Can I ask a couple questions, John,
Sure.
beforehand?
Sure.
The B2, established dedicated division, is that the township, you want a township crew? Is that what that means? What are we looking at there?
I can go into that.
Go ahead.
So, before we go into that, why don't we look at,
Take your mic.
So if you look at B1 through B4, they establish different guidelines and plans. So obviously, B1 would be priority 1 because that's developed a strategic plan. So that's the overall goals of the maintenance and improvements of the township 300 acres, okay? B2 we established as, let me pull it up here, as priority number 3 because you want to develop the plan, you want to develop the program and updated ordinances for the removal of exotic and invasive plants, and then you want to establish a dedicated division, whether it's volunteers, through public works, through another committee, an ad hoc committee, whatever it might be. Once the plan is set, you want to have those established folks, per se, managing the strategic plan that has been adopted. If that makes sense.
And if I could ask, I'm sorry, Ian, if you could just go a little bit down so we can see the top. I'm sorry, the other direction. All right, so you asked the question about the division. That's also in the conversations that we've had internally. You can see next to lead entity, supporting entity, staff resources. That's going to be things that are needed to accomplish these said goals. So in having a dedicated division, we would need staff to do that. There would be funding that would be required to do that. So we do understand that even on our level, and we would think it'd be the same, with the township arborists and also with the committee would also agree with. So we do understand that some things are going to require, staff to be hired in order to accomplish these goals. So, but right now, we just want to try to get a direction of what's most important, not most important, because they're all important, but just a priority list among these three, and then we'll go on to the next page if it's okay. If you have any more questions, please feel free.
Yeah, Ricky, I had a question on what you were just going over, so thank you for doing it. The requirements or the resources required is called obstacles, so that threw me off a little bit because I thought to myself, should we be factoring in sort of how difficult or feasible something might be before we prioritize it? So you're saying these are just required resources, staffing, funding, legislative, not necessarily obstacles or things that we already know might be difficult? Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, this is a little think tank session. So whatever you feel like, things are going to have to overcome to get there. But in the
Okay.
beginning, it's just trying to get what's, a level of it.
Okay.
And how to get there, is going to be the next discussion. Because in the strategic planning, you might offer and say, okay, we agree you're going to need resources. We agree you're going to need funding. This is how much we may even estimate, to be able to get there. So again, this is still just the beginning, and it's going to take a while before we're actually able to implement any of these things. So even if you look at it from the standpoint of, like John had mentioned, okay, this is important, but how far achievable is it for us to accomplish it? So we go into the next page, you'll see some other things that you as a committee have already started working on. So even that, and if that provides any type of insight, maybe not.
But forgetting about the staff and the obstacles and funding, what Rick needs to understand from you folks is the level of importance of these different subheadings of the maintenance and improvement section of the acres.
Ian, can you move that up so we can see B2 and B3? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so.
So it looks like
Oh,
they're
sorry.
in the order of priority. You have to have a plan first, and you get a division to work on the plan, and then that division starts the program. And I don't have an opinion about geese and deer, so I think B1, B2, and B3 are probably in the order of priority. But then again, I'm a consultant, and I don't know much.
Well, this is a conversation. I mean, it's not a voting worthy thing, but it would be nice if, when I put it in for my report to put everything in, I would like to say Shade Tree looked at it, Township Arborists looked at it, this is their recommendations, if we could all agree. So, Frank, you threw out, your opinion. If, everyone agrees, as a whole, then, that's what I would go with. I think John had threw out, his.
What I believe they're saying here, Frank, is they're looking at developing the plan, developing the invasive management, and then looking at establishing that division to manage that strategic plan. So that's why I went with 1, 3, and 2.
In that order?
Correct.
And then number B3, is that saying that ordinance for removal of exotic invasive species, which I agree with, and I think we could simply just pass an ordinance, but public and private land, is that saying that the township then has to remove all invasive trees, or is it, or there still would be a plan? I'm just trying to say, what are we voting on, that this is what we want? Or just out of this
No,
list, we're just
we're
prioritizing?
not voting on what we want, we're voting on the priority based on those 4 items.
It's just an order of, what
So
you would
what's
say.
important to you out of those 4
Priority
items?
out of
Yep.
what's up there.
Yes, sir.
But if you take it under consideration, it's really only 2 levels. It would be number 1, which also would be combined with number B3 and B4. They're actually one separate entity, and then you would implement the management through the
Right.
division, through a forestry associate, whatever it might be, volunteers, that would handle B2.
Gotcha. And whoever is looking at this, or establish a dedicated division, I'm just asking for myself, are we, since we're putting this as a number 2 priority, is that saying that the shade tree wants to add a tree crew or something, or it
No,
doesn't
it is
mean
not.
anything like that?
It's saying that basing the priority based on the severity or importance of your opinion.
How we get there is a later conversation.
Yep.
This is
Gotcha.
just putting those in order.
Okay. Gotcha.
I agree with John's order. It seems, it makes more sense. B3, if you develop, you have to develop a program and updated ordinances for the removal of exotics. Then you go back up and say, okay, how do we establish a division for the management of all this stuff? So I agree with John. That's what you said, B1, B3, and B2? Yeah. I think that makes sense, personally.
I'm good with it too. Anybody else?
Yeah, it kind of seems like B2, B3, and B4 are all like siblings under B1. Like they're kind of even, but B1 has to happen first.
Exactly.
MJ from planning, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to make sure that for our listening audience, we're all on the same page. So this is obviously televised. There's some public here. There's some public that's watching from home. This is the priority list taken from the February 5th draft copy of a vision for Radnor, which is available at radnor2035.org, if I remember the URL correctly. This plan, what we're talking about tonight is on page 195 of that. Under environment and open space. So we're talking about prioritization of those items. It's congruent with what's written in the plan, I wish there was more time to discuss, but I think most of these items have been discussed ad nauseum during prior meetings.
And this is only the beginning, so this is just putting them in order. When we do the deep dive into when the board wants to see how we're going to execute these, that'll be a bigger conversation. That's why I wanted, and my recommendation for the lead entity to be the 6, 7, 8 of you, including John. So when it's time for us to get there, that'll be another conversation that you will all be included in.
Right.
Right now, this is just stepping through an order as far as ranking.
And for our listening audience, this is a plan that the township's been working on in earnest since September 2023. There's been 2 commissioners who headed that effort, as well as our consultants and staff. And there was also a complementary steering committee, of which I was a part of and still am a part of. So those items all make sense. I do want to fast forward a little bit so that we do talk about this, maybe not at this meeting, but at subsequent meetings. There's also another section, sustainability, resilience, and infrastructure. It's on page 198 of the plan. And this is priorities B1, B2, B3, and I think there's 4 and 5 as well. Yeah, that's right. So more to deal with education of the public on the importance of trees, providing promotional materials, supporting continued volunteer efforts, as well as continuing to update the tree ordinance. This is a 10-year comprehensive plan, so I do want to caution everybody that this is not going to be implemented, as Mr. Foster said. It's not going to be implemented today. We just have to kind of coalesce on the prioritization schedule of what is to be implemented in the next 10 years.
Got it. Thank you for that.
With that
Thank
being-
you, Ricky, John.
No problem.
So, John, you were saying B1, B3, B2 for that part. And do we have to make a motion for this or anything, or vote on it?
Nope.
Does everybody agree that should be the plan? Okay. Anybody else want to speak about it? All right, we'll go with that, Ricky. B1, B3, B2.
Okay, I have that
For
written
Friday.
down. Ian, could you go to the next page that Mr. Furman was referring to?
Sorry, Ricky, for a second. Does anybody from the public want to discuss that? No? Okay.
All right, this was, please excuse the highlighted under the A section, A2. I want to go right down to the B section with B1 through 5. So this here is the same as what we had discussed with the other. I would be asking for, you see the shade tree is the lead entity in 3 of those topics. I am going to ask that, or recommend that the shade tree is included in all of those. That first one, B1, you would be partnering with the EAC. And B5, it would be the Shade Tree Commission along with the Township Arborist and wherever basically the shade tree commissioners, the township arborists would also be there along with. So that first one, B1, would be, 3 of you together. But that was my request that I had already submitted to the township manager, just so you're aware. So we would have to do the same thing with this. We would have to put these 5 categories in a ranking too, just so I can have that submitted. That's all that was asked for township staff, and I wanted to have, make sure that the committee had a chance to weigh in too. And I'll let Mr. Hosback rank, or at least let you know what his ranking was.
And I'll give you my rankings. So B1 was priority 3, B2 was priority 1, B3 was priority 5, B4 priority 4, and finally B5 priority 2.
Can I just make a comment about B1 in particular? I think we've talked several times, maybe over the past 6 months to a year up here, that we would like to incorporate the importance of stormwater management sort of under the purview of Shade Tree and the work that we do. That's why I'm happy to see B1 there. And I find it to be a priority because of that. And I'm glad to see that, we're a part of it. We're on the supporting entity, but I'm glad to see that there. I just wanted to make that point.
I agree with you, Kristen, and I'd rather see more, I know there's stormwater problems, but I'd rather see more trees and plantings and rain gardens or just even holes in the ground than planting plastic in the ground. They outlawed plastic bags, so I think we should.
Just remember, if you go down to B2, continue efforts to conduct a survey of trees in streets and public lands and create a township-wide tree inventory. Well, the deficiencies within that inventory will then tell you where you need to do B1. So it's like B2 should be priority 1 to establish those goals. B1, B3, and B4 all follow in command with that, because it's all made up from what we find with that actual inventory, which is then going to release what is required by the township to facilitate those B1, 3, and 4.
I would agree with you, John, but I did hear some news tonight, and I'm not sure if it would make a difference. But Frank said that Delco is actually doing a tree inventory or something. Is that?
Yeah, Delaware County got some grant money, forget from whom, but they're doing a GIS inventory or canopy study for the entire county. And they're going to go down not only to the municipality level, but also down to census blocks. And their first deliverable will be this March. So that's something that we could probably, stand on the shoulders of for this particular item.
So I don't know, you'll know more about this. I know nothing about it. So would that be equal to a tree? It's going to be a little bit different, I assume, but would that work in place of the tree inventory?
So I believe that county inventory that's being performed is based on just streetscapes. So it doesn't include municipal parks such as Radnor parks. It doesn't include a lot of private lands. It's really just strategically for street trees, because I think my firm bid on it actually. Yeah.
So we're saying in streets, it's going to include that, but it's not going to include the public lands. Gotcha.
Which doesn't help us manage for the latter, which is stormwater management and all that good stuff that we're considering.
B2 is the first thing, and everything works off of that.
An inventory, you don't know what your surplus or deficiency is.
Can you, I don't know if you can give me an estimated number, but what would something like that, is it something that would get passed as an ordinance to do a tree survey in the town, like the whole township?
I don't think we're at that stage yet, James. I think this is more of just they want to understand your feelings and your opinions based on the priority levels of these 5 objectives.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to make
I don't think they'll ever, I don't think right now they're even at that point, correct, Rick, to talk about obtaining an inventory?
Yeah, I mean, we are looking into it now. We have a GIS guy, so we're studying the canopy already. So, we have the Parks and Rec director is working with our GIS guy to obtain that information. and it's going to take some time.
Gotcha. I'm, no,
That's what I do professionally. Can I get involved in that in any way? Surveys,
Sure,
tree surveys, drone surveys.
sure.
My question on this is: are there any plans or anything in the in the 2035 vision about how frequently that would be updated? Is it on a 10-year schedule, a 5-year schedule? Because things are going to change pretty rapidly. And
That's exactly why
it's
we
a big
want to
effort.
get a ranking order.
Yeah.
Then the strategic planning comes in. So once we get the ranking order, strategic plan away. But all we need is just the ranking order first, and all of you brilliant people will be able to tell us exactly how to achieve said goal.
So with, like if you look at number B4, without B2, you can't conduct B4. If you follow me.
well, we do it now, so, I mean,
I understand that, but support continued volunteer efforts to maintain and expand the tree canopy. So if you have an inventory and you have streets that are totally tree deficient, that inventory is going to tell you where the volunteers need to focus their efforts in order to plant trees.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree with you, John. If you have a picture of your canopy and a hydro modeling of the entire township, you tackle the stormwater piece, you tackle maybe not the air quality piece necessarily, but the deficiencies, as you were saying, in street trees. If you get a GIS analysis on the board, and I realize I'm biased because this is what I do, you get a GIS analysis on the board, a lot of doors open up.
I just want to question, when we're talking about prioritizing, we're talking about how important we believe it is, not necessarily the sequence that it follows, right?
Importance and the sequence, for sure.
Yeah, we need both, because all of these things, when this was put out, as Mr. Fruman can attest to, these are all things that the residents and people who were involved thought was important. So they're all important. What we're just asking you to do is tell us, out of these important things, where they rank.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So we should be voting on how important we think it is, regardless of whether it falls under something or below something.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever
That's all I
order
was-
you want to go in.
Well, I'll add that I think the biggest lift is number 2 with the tree survey. That's going to take a lot of time, money, effort, and that some of the other items can be done concurrently. So to me, that shifts a priority towards getting B2 started sooner rather than later. But then we can focus efforts on updating tree ordinances and volunteer efforts and education and anything else. Those seem like they take less time than doing what's the word I want, township-wide tree survey. So can we do them concurrently?
If I may offer something here. So B1 and B3, as well as B4, are something that we're already doing. So as far as prioritization, those are ongoing efforts and should be 1, 2, and 3 perhaps. I think the efforts to conduct a survey of trees and streets and public lands, it's going to require a much heavier lift, and it is crucially important that we do that. But just to mobilize that effort will take some time. So I think by nature it'll have to be deprioritized versus all the things that are already being done.
Yeah, and to your point, even if we put it in an order, like you as a committee have already started updating the tree ordinance. Like they've updated a couple since I've been, sitting in the seat that I'm in. So just because we put it in an order doesn't mean you still can't be achieving the other things.
Understood.
So we just need an order to be able to, again, just put out to the BOC. But you can be working on multiple things at once, because that, to, Jen's point and John's point, it's going to take some money and time to get B2 off the ground. It's not going to be like, okay, we started it, it's done, let's move on to the next one. You'll have started it, but you can also be achieving the other things at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we can probably walk and chew gum at the same time, so.
Yeah, and I'd say if we're already doing something, that to me moves it down the priority list because we're already doing it. Like if I want 5 pieces of new equipment for my lab, I'm gonna put like the most expensive and desired one first. Right. And I can,
I agree.
I feel like this to me is like capital funding for my lab. I really need to prioritize the big lift, knowing if I'm already doing 1, 3, and 5, I'm going to stay in the course doing that. That doesn't mean they're less important. It just means my ask is for the thing that's harder for me to achieve, and I'm going to keep bringing it in on tree ordinance stuff. We can keep doing that for sure. But I agree, John. I think you said B2 is first. I think we should really push hard on that because that is going to open a lot of doors. It's going to take a lot of time, effort, and money to get that completed.
Well said. I agree with you.
So I understand where everybody's coming from, and you guys are going to hate me, and I think really different than everybody, I think. And so that's why there's 6 of us up here, so you can vote as we please. So I would go B3 as the number 1, because without the residents understanding what's going on, they're going to be nowhere near doing that. B4, support which one? 2, B4 I had as number 2. B1 is 3, and then working our way down. But I know nobody's going to go for that, so I'm going to ask anybody want to make a motion and go from there.
So just
somebody make a suggestion and then
Yeah, can we
and then tell Ricky and go with
I think
it.
right now we have Jen that made a suggestion to go with B2, and I think Kristen was seconding that, so can we?
So is that a motion?
Yes,
Can
I
you-
will.
can you
I
name it
will
out?
put. I will put my word down, saying I think B2 should be the number 1 priority.
I second that.
That's 3, is there any more? 4? 5?
4, so we got it.
Yep.
But we have to do the rest of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
B1, where are we at?
B1.
I mean, I will say I'm less concerned about the order of the others. I just think B2 is biggest lift, so first, and the others they seem very concurrent to me, so I struggle to separate them out.
I think
happy to
B1.
hear everyone's thoughts.
I think B1 should come next because I do think it includes a broader
Is that
definition.
a motion?
Yes.
I'll second it. Oh, sorry.
Could B1
Discussion.
and B3 be combined? Promote the importance and provide education materials?
Not,
Ricky
not the
needs
way
to-
the comprehensive plan is written on page
I think he
59 and
needs to
60.
Okay.
Keep them separate.
Okay, all right.
So we had a second for B1 as number 2. Who's in favor of that? We have 3, 4, 5.
Good enough. After that, I don't.
5 to, oh, you're good. Okay, so unanimous on that. So B1 is number 2.
B3.
B3
Sure.
is number 3. Everybody in favor of B3? Number 3? Good. John, what's your next suggestion?
B4?
For number 4?
B4, you need to vote for number 4.
No, but do you think B4 should be number 4 or 5?
I have number 4.
Okay, who thinks, okay, we have a second, all in favor?
Second, yep.
Say good. All right, that's number 4, and then, how about we just say B5 is number 5?
I have B5 as number 2.
Good? You had B5 as number 2.
I think B5 should be a little higher up. I agree with John.
Well, we already voted. I mean, if you, do we have,
Look at it till the bottom.
B5 should be number 2, only because I think it needs a lot of work.
And it needs to be communicated and clear.
Right.
so is that a vote that stands, or can we change it if people want to change it?
Well, let's,
Legality there.
Let's do a motion again.
let's do a consolidated motion, which includes a prioritization of all of these all in one. I
Okay.
think that would be easier.
Gotcha. So Kristen, do you want to change B1?
Do you want me to read it off, then you guys can vote?
Well, I'm good with what we have, but, okay, so how about I make a motion that we do B1 is 2, B2 is 1, B3 is 3, B4 is 4, B5 is 5. We have I'm making a motion. Do I have a second?
Well, that's what we just did. I think what we're saying is.
I know, so if we don't get a vote, then we move on to the next one.
Wait, I guess I want to know all the options. I thought we just did that.
So
This
you
is
have
what
a,
we
you
did,
have a
and we voted.
consensus on everything except for B5, which
So-
then could change the whole palette.
Some people feel that B5 might be better further up.
That's fine with me. My sticking point is B2 is first one. That's
B,
it.
B2 is first.
So the motion on the table is B2, and then which one?
B1 is number 2.
Yep.
B2 is number 1.
Yep.
B3 is 3.
Yep.
B4 is 4.
Yep.
B5 is 5. That was a motion, seconded, and now we had discussion on it. So we're going to vote on that. Anybody that wants to vote can vote. We have 1, 2, 3,
3, 4.
4, 5.
I'm confused by the way you're saying this.
It
I
stands.
need things to be in order. So we're saying B2, B1, B3, B4, B5 versus
That-
B2, B5,
No,
B1,
there's no,
B3, B4.
there's no verses at this point.
Somebody
I
would have
need
had,
all the, I feel, I can't, I don't.
No.
I'm not comprehending what's going on.
So parliamentary procedure would be that there's a motion on the table, and the prioritization of the current motion is B2, B1, B3, B4, B5. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on that motion. If it does not pass, then somebody else will make an alternate motion, which will give different choices.
Okay, so you're saying I can't have all the options on the table?
Correct.
Okay, well
Correct.
then I'm fine with whatever as long as B2 is first. That's my opinion.
yeah, just like I have a totally different thing, but I'm just going with what I think everybody else will work
And
with.
and if you believe that B5 is out of place and it should be higher, then you would not vote in the affirmative on this motion.
And then get involved with the comprehensive plan when the BOC is, or when we work on it, because this all might change again. I mean, it's just a priority rating, and we're going to work things out later, so we're going to forget about this in about a month from now.
Right, and I think from the comp plan standpoint, this just involves cutting and pasting paragraphs in the main document on page 59, 60. the way
We're
it
losing
stands
our
today.
audience, guys.
Well, we have a motion.
We have a motion, and then, should I put this out for public comment? Is it supposed to be? You should. Okay, do we have any public comment?
Please come up.
This is what we're here for.
Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. Can you state your name? Yes. Yep. My name is, okay. My name is Jillian Norris Santo. My address is 424 Inverary Road in Villanova. I'm a 40-year resident of Wayne and Villanova. And my comment is, it's not linked very closely to what you've just been saying, obviously, but from the point of view of a resident. From my perspective, the comprehensive plan is in fact comprehensive, well-written, and thorough. As a resident, I took part in the surveys, the workshops, and read the plan as the draft was published on the township's website in pieces, as you remember. And so I cannot agree with the statements made by some members of the Planning Commission at their meeting on February 3rd that, and I quote, "No one has heard about the plan," or "Residents are unaware of it." I was a resident, not a special committee member, and I knew a great deal about it over quite a long period of time. So I don't see how residents could have missed the surveys, the virtual workshop, the in-person workshop in the library, attended by about 60 people, and the follow-up online questionnaires. All were well publicized through the township, online newsletters, and other media. Moreover, Adam Taxa and other members of the advisory committee attended all of the public community events in the township, from the Fall Festival to Unity in the Community to the Harvest Festival and the Great Pumpkin Patch. And the plan was up on the township's website for all to read. And I want to point out that the authors of the plan interviewed the environmental protection stakeholders, as you know. And to do so, they chose members from influential, well-established groups in the township. The Radnor Conservancy, 2 representatives. The Parks and Rec Board, 1 representative. The Environmental Advisory Council, 1 member. Ready for 100, 2 members. The Planning Commission, 1 member. Through their networks, all of these people would have added to the general awareness that the comprehensive land use plan was underway. And to get a little more specific about the Shade Tree Commission and the plan, based on my reading, I hope that the Shade Tree Commission will consider very carefully the section on pages 11 and 12. They're brief. That's in the draft outline, at least on the, as an email, it's pages 11 and 12. According to the plan, the township could consider bringing in a professional who could be responsible for land management, including maintaining the declining canopy, improving landscaping, and managing accredited professionals to perform other duties. It was suggested that a fund could be created to support those efforts, alternatively. And then also updates to the tree ordinance. You've been talking about that, and I would heartily support your efforts to bring consistency to the definitions of dead tree, hazardous, and emergency, and to close loopholes that are currently being exploited by residents or tree removal companies, and these are things you could easily do. And I think, and to conclude, that the plan reflects thorough research and offers good recommendations for the health of our trees in the future. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, then we'll take this vote one more time. And do we all have the order that I?
So just to state it for the record, B2, B1, B3, B4, and B5, that's the motion that's on the table.
B2, B1, B3, B4, B5. That was the motion, seconded, voted 4 times. But let's do it one more time, last time. All in favor? It's unanimous. There you have your, got it? Thank you, guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ricky. All right, now
I was wondering if we can have a copy of that lovely statement. Is that possible? Could you email us or give us a copy of that?
Yeah, well, it's based on my, partly I wanted to set the record straight in a way, and okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have it as a Word document.
Would it be appropriate to respond to the public or Mr. Chair?
I have no problem responding. I think.
Okay.
I mean,
So as the Planning Commission liaison, and thank you for speaking out, by the way.
Hold on, MJ, one second. I just want to make sure it's okay. Are we allowed to respond to the comments made? Oh, we've gone back and forth with. I'm the chair, so I can make the decision. Let's go home, everybody. No, I have no problem responding.
And I'll be
I
brief.
think as long as it's civil and everything else.
I don't want to get involved in a 2.5-hour debate.
It won't be. It won't be.
I think he just wants to make a comment.
My comment, I guess I had a couple of comments, one related to an earlier planning. Okay, I had really 2 comments. One related to an earlier meeting of a different commission, the Planning Commission. And my second comment really was voicing my confidence and my hope that the Shade Tree Commission could carry out certain very specific things that are in the plan. That was really it.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Would
you.
Would you mind if he?
Sure, but I'm going to sit down.
Yeah, that's fine. Take a
Yes,
seat.
and thank you for your comment. I think, we do appreciate it. For the record, I am the Planning Commission liaison to Shade Tree, and I was the member that was part of the steering committee throughout the whole process, including the beginning of this work, which began with a different consultant. So I was able to see the whole process through and through. And to your point, I think it's my personal opinion that the consultant, as well as all the folks that worked on this plan, have met the burden to try to drive public participation. And really what a comprehensive land use plan is, it is not a top-down directive. It comes from the community. So the conclusions drawn from the plan in large part came from the community surveys. And we're talking about 5,000 postcards mailed to the community residents, 1,500 flyers and bookmarks that were distributed and designed to drive participation to Vision for Radnor 2035 website. There was 506 virtual workshop responses, 3,650 virtual workshop comments from residents, as well as what you referenced as 50 stakeholder interviews and an in-person workshop that I'm not sure if you attended. I know I was there. It was at the library with 60 participants, which it was a packed audience. So I think the consultant has met their burden in trying to elicit as many responses as possible. It's in the consultant's belief, and I personally concur, that the amount of responses are statistically valid, even for a township of our size. That being said, there are 32,000 residents in this township. Some of them are, of course, minors. And as much outreach as somebody might do, and again, my personal belief that it is statistically relevant, the responses that we got, which drove this comprehensive land use plan draft copy, is relevant. There are going to be residents that
MJ,
may not have heard of
I
it.
think we understand. And it sounds like this is more like a back and forth, which I don't want to get involved in anymore.
Sure.
And if you don't mind, we'll just.
Yeah, we can
cut at
table it.
that. All right. Public comment on that?
I was at my name's Diana Pope. I'm on 116 Windermere. I was at the Planning Commission meeting too. My colleague is commenting on a member of the Planning Commission saying, and I was there too, saying, my friends don't know anything about this plan. So I don't understand. There's something adversarial about the way you're talking right now, as if somehow you're still defending something that is troublesome to me. I just need to say that.
I'm
So I think
concurring with.
enough is
MJ,
enough.
yeah,
So
we're not
just
gonna go back and
concur
forth.
and be done with it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yeah, I'm sorry, we got to cut it off. It's public comment. I probably shouldn't have done that. That's my own fault. I apologize. I think it's free speech and everything, but we're all adults here, so we're all good. All right.
We wish, I love the Shade Tree Commission. I'm, a self-proclaimed tree hugger, so, everything you do is great.
Anything else from the comprehensive plan that we need to discuss? All right, so we have this trees, Fairview Road, John, you can speak to that. We're not voting on it here. I saw the pictures that looked at it.
These were all really bad trees. I don't have the photographs of the oak with me, but, yep. Yep. Nope. Thank you.